Welcome to Building Foundations for Education. It's an exciting time in our school year, and I'm excited to have our Superintendent of Schools with us today to talk about the events that have taken place the past couple weeks. Welcome, Dr. Rendell.
Thank you, Cynthia. We're back in school.
We're back. It's our 19th day of school, right?
That's right. That's right. We're a little behind schedule. We've missed 7 days because of closures due to Hurricane Irma, but we're back in full force. And getting back to work, and everybody's excited to be back in classrooms and teaching and learning and everything, but we did miss some time.
Well, I want to thank you and your team for your leadership through the storm. I think you all did a wonderful job, and I don't know that everybody in the community thinks about how important the school district's role is in sheltering and providing services.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's unique to Florida. Mm-hmm. If you're a school teacher or an assistant principal or principal in the Midwest or something, or really anywhere else in the country except Florida, you don't think about your school being used as a shelter.
Right.
You don't think about pulling shelter duty. But we had 6 schools serve as shelters during Hurricane Irma. The Red Cross helped staff 3 of those shelters, but the others were all staffed by our assistant principals and principals, and they were running the shelters, so to speak. So hard to believe that when you become an assistant principal or principal in the state of Florida, you might be a shelter manager during a hurricane, but that's it's an additional duty that falls on those people. But wasn't just the assistant principals and principals that were involved. We had at those 6 school sites the maintenance personnel, so the head custodian or site foreman, they were there throughout the storm. There was cafeteria staff, food service staff that was there throughout the storm, providing food and everything for everybody at the shelter. And transportation was running. Right. Not the entire transportation department, but a lot of the people that are evacuated to shelters are evacuated using our school buses. So our school buses are out on the road, just before and after the storm and that kind of thing. And then there's, a health aide or a nurse at each of the different shelters, and the school district provided all of those during this sheltering event this year. So there's a lot of school personnel that are involved in running these shelters. And so we closed school a couple of days before the storm came for a lot of different reasons. One was to give our families time to prepare, their homes, or if they were going to leave, prepare their homes and evacuate. Right. But also we had to prepare the schools, the 6 schools that were getting, that were going to be used as shelters. We had to get them ready. Yes. And it takes several days to do that. And so there's a lot of staff that helped with that. They might not have been at the shelter during the hurricane, but they helped prepare the shelter. So again, maintenance staff and food services staff, stocking and everything, and preparing, and of course the administrative staff. So those 6 shelters were what we call Wave 1 shelters. So those were open during the storm. Working with the County Emergency Operations Center, county management, Jason Brown and Etta Lopresti and Mr. King and the rest of the emergency management team, and law enforcement and the Red Cross, we decide which schools to open as shelters. And then we actually have a Wave 2, another list of a handful of schools that if when we were opening Wave 1 shelters, they were over capacity, we could have actually opened a whole other set of schools during the storm. And then also maybe after the storm, if we needed a place for people to shelter after the storm, we have schools that are ready for that. So little known fact that in Florida, your public schools also serve as shelters.
It's a huge undertaking. I mean, big kudos to John Teske and, who's our new director of operations.
Well, that was the big thing. So, we have a whole structure of how we do this. Yes. And so we have one person serving kind of as the point. And so we call it the incident commander. Right. We're using some military terms, but John Teske is our new assistant superintendent for operations. He used to be a principal at Citrus Elementary for many years. So he has some military background. He's in the Army Reserve. And so he was the perfect person to have as the incident commander. So he was in constant communication via 800 megahertz radio with all of our schools, the shelters that were being used, the shelter leaders, the principals and assistant principals, Red Cross personnel, law enforcement. So he was kind of managing our efforts as part of this response to the hurricane and everything. And so he did a great job of marshaling all the resources, making sure that transportation was ready to go when we needed it, that the buildings were ready to go. They had all the food that we needed at the different cafeterias and things like that. And so he oversaw all of that operation, and it was great. He did a fantastic job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought it was interesting. A lot of people I knew who were in the shelters were posting pictures of how much they enjoyed the meals.
Right.
So, social media is a new component of keeping everybody informed, giving credit to the team as well. And it's not to change the subject, but kind of not only recognizing everyone's efforts, but also kind of making the public aware of the school district's role.
Yeah, we really have done a much better job of utilizing social media this year to get the word out about all the great things that are going on in our schools. Well, during the hurricane, during the sheltering opportunity, lots of people were using social media to communicate what was going on at the shelters.
Yes.
All the positive things that were going on. There was all kinds of entertainment being provided at some of the shelters. At Oslo, they had some employees playing the piano and singing for the shelterees. And over at Vero Beach High School at the Freshman Learning Center, some of the staff led the shelterees in aerobics and had all kinds of other activities. And it was all on social media, people posting about their experiences at the shelters, and all positive. I never saw any negative.
I saw all positive. I think these people probably never wanted to leave.
Yeah, well, it was interesting. Oslo wanted to have this reputation as a 5-star shelter. They wanted to be like a resort. And in many ways, they were mimicking resort activities. There were a couple volunteers that, when people pulled up to unload their belongings and everything, there was someone that actually would park their car for them.
Wow.
So they kind of had valet parking.
Wow.
They had a few of the AV carts out by the curb, so you could they had luggage racks, so you could take your luggage to your room, so to speak, and that kind of thing. And then they had meals and snacks throughout the day and entertainment. So they tried to make what is really can be a pretty harrowing experience.
Yes.
And certainly during the height of the storm, no matter what we did, if you were sheltering or if you were in your own residence, that kind of thing, it's a pretty
scary.
Pretty emotional and impactful experience. So even though we can do all those things to kind of make the experience not as frightening,
right,
it still is a pretty serious weather event. And was I know Sunday night was the worst night for us here in our community, and even that was pretty treacherous.
Right. Well, it just illustrates how it takes an entire community, not only in education, but also through hurricanes, to bring everyone together. So that's tremendous.
Yeah, it was great to see all the different people pitching in and helping, not just school board employees, but, the local law enforcement. We had fire department involved, and of course, like I said, the Red Cross. And that, but we actually got some help from the state. The National Guard was here providing some support at all of our shelters.
Good.
So that was pretty good. But it is unfortunate that we have to have such a big catastrophe or event to bring everybody together, but it looks like everybody did join together and help each other during this event.
That's great. And we're so fortunate. There are so many other counties that still are not open for school or may not be open for a long time. So very, very lucky.
Yeah, we last year with Matthew, Matthew moved a little to the east, and so we didn't get the brunt of Matthew. This time, Irma moved a little to the west, and we didn't get the brunt of Irma. But so our community did fare pretty well, and all of our schools did pretty well. So we were able to open school after only missing 7 days.
Yeah. So kind of on the tail of good news, I just want to thank Kristen McMillan. I think she's been really proactive as our new public information officer, and we've had a lot of great news stories before the storm, and it was really exciting. She had John Shaman from TV5 at the Wabasso School, and 32963 was there doing a story about the opening of the Rio Lab, which the Johns Island Foundation supported, and that's exciting to see those students developing their transition skills.
Yeah, we've had a lot of great success stories on social media and on TV.
Yes.
And Kristen really is responsible for getting the word out about most of those great stories. I think she's developed a relationship with a lot of the TV reporters down in West Palm, and so they're coming up more than they ever have to cover us for good news.
Yes.
And that's a great thing to have them come up and do that. I think the Rio Lab at Wabasso is really, that's a special thing. Thank you to the Education Foundation for securing the funding for that. Johns Island for donating the funding. And if you're not aware of the Rio Lab, it's a classroom that's converted to a living area and also a work area, so that the students at the Wabasso School, and these are students with some severe physical and cognitive needs, disabilities, so that we can get them prepared for life after school.
Right.
So they, in that Rio Lab, they learn how to care for their home, they have a bedroom area, so they learn how to make a bed and that kind of thing, and they have a kitchen area, and they learn to make basic meals and that kind of thing. And in fact, they're doing more than making basic meals. There's a kind of a culinary class that's going on there.
And they have plans to create dog treats that they'll be selling. So lots of great things. And then there's a sign print shop that's already producing laminated signs for the school district. So
right. So what we want to do is make sure these kids graduate. They leave us with a skill that they could use out in the community to be employed and that kind of thing. So part of the Rio Lab is a business area where they can learn a skill. And so right now they've got a print shop going, a poster making shop.
Yes.
And so different schools in the district are ordering posters to be made there and that kind of thing. So it's just a fantastic hands-on learning experience for these kids, so that, these young adults,
right? So
that when they leave us, they can succeed out there in society. They can live in an apartment, they can get a job and those kinds of things. And without that Rio Lab, they might not get those experiences.
Absolutely. It's exciting to see. So one of the things when we went through is we were joking that we think all children in a way should learn to do laundry, learn to do some of those things. So it's a great opportunity for these students, but it's certainly something everybody can benefit from being involved.
We've talked before years ago about having a kind of a finishing course at the high school that every senior takes before they graduate. And the ideas that you're talking about, we discussed those with the finishing course, maybe having them learn how to do their laundry, learn how to make some basic meals, maybe learn how to change a tire, check your oil, balance your checkbook, stuff like that. There's some skills that we used to learn at home, basically, that maybe some seniors are graduating with that don't have those skills. So we've talked about having a finishing course or a senior seminar. We've never put that in place, but it's something maybe we do need to think about.
Absolutely. Well, we do have wonderful career tech opportunities within our district, and the Adult Education Center is going to be moving to a new location next year, right? With
big news. The Technical Center for Career and Adult Education. A lot of people don't know that we're not just a K through 12, kindergarten through 12th grade school system. We have a whole adult ed component. The Technical Center for Career and Adult Education serves about 800 adult students in our community a year. And it kind of has two campuses. One is a building that's on the Alternative Center for Education campus in Gifford, just north of Gifford Middle School. That's where some of the courses are. And then the main campus is over here on 19th Street, right across from the Freshman Learning Center. So next fall, all of the classes that are here in downtown Vero Beach are going to be at the campus there in Gifford. We're going to take over that entire campus and turn it into a technical center. We're going to add another building there that's going to have vocational classes such as carpentry, plumbing, electrical, welding, HVAC. The adult ed component that we have right now focuses a lot on medical academy, medical skills. So there's a licensed practical nursing course sequence, there's a phlebotomy, medical coder biller, and of course the clinical nurse assistant degree, so a certification. So all those programs are then going to be housed in Gifford, which is a central location for our entire community. So adult students from the north, from Sebastian, Fellsmere, will be able to access those courses more easily. And then all the adult students in Vero and South Indian River can get there. But this technical center is not going to be just for adult education. Our high school students are going to be able to access courses there, kind of similar to the old VOTech model that a lot of us were aware of, where you would go to high school for part of the day and then go to the VOTech Center. So this new technical center that'll open in Gifford in August of 2018 is going to be able to really provide all of our citizens, the adults, and then our high school students with, training and hands-on skills that they can go right into the workforce.
That's awesome. And that makes me think about when you say 800 students, not everyone realizes that. And we have the seat count coming up tomorrow on the 20th day. Is that right? Right.
So every year, we have to count the number of students we have several times during the year. But one of the most important days counts is the 20-day count. So not sure when you're going to watch this on TV, but Wednesday, the 20th of September is actually our 20th day of school. It was supposed to be earlier, but we were out for the hurricane. So we count how many students we have, and we're funded by the state based on the number of students we have. So it's very important that we count all of our students who have been in school and that kind of thing. And then we count again periodically throughout the year. There's a February count to see how many students, if we've grown or if we've declined in enrollment, the state adjusts our funding. But definitely making sure that we count all the students who've been in school. That's kind of how they determine how much funding we get is based on how many customers we have, which makes sense.
Right. And I think that sort of leads into, I get asked a lot, well, don't my tax dollars cover everything for education? And I explain how the school district will always need an education foundation. And I think especially this year with, I would think, federal money going to Irma relief, that now more and more, it's even more important for ed foundations to be supporting local public education to do the extra things.
Yeah, there's always some gaps that need to be filled. And so if you're in a community like ours where we're fortunate that people want to help,
Yes.
you know, to donate or help with time, energy, and effort, you can fill some of those gaps. You know, we are seeing that, you know, the federal money is probably going to start to decline over the next few years. The signals coming from the federal government are they're going to reduce the amount of funding for the federal education budget.
Right.
So a lot of the title programs, Title IX or ESE and those other federally funded programs, we're probably going to see diminishing funds there. But the needs are still going to be there.
Right.
You know, we're still going to need to service all those kids and all those needs. And so, you know, we're going to have to look at how our funding is allocated and that kind of thing. So there's always going to be a need for additional, you know, fill in the gaps and for additional programs, especially new and innovative programs that aren't funded, you know, out of our state budget.
Right. And I think it's awesome that you're continuing your tradition with the Casual for a Cause. So I'm sure there's a special nonprofit that's being honored this month.
So for the month of September, it's the United Way of Indian River County. So in September, we're going to have a Casual for a Cause Day. It's actually next Thursday, the 28th, I think it is. And so all across the district, students and staff can pay a small fee to dress a little more casually for the day. Right. Like I don't have to wear a tie that day if I pay the fee. And all the money that's generated from that single day's donation goes to the United Way. Right. And then each month we pick a different organization. But we also, not just raising funds for those organizations, we want to educate people about what those organizations do. Right. So the United Way is a great organization. All the dollars that are donated to the United Way of Indian River County are spent in Indian River County, supporting a lot of the different programs that the schools are involved in, but also the community is involved in. You know, for example, when we get to tax season, right. The United Way offers free tax preparation for citizens. Well, some of the money that's donated is used to pay for that kind of thing. And so, you know, the United Way is a great supporter of local charities and organizations, so that's why we picked them for September. And in October, it's going to be the American Cancer Society. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so you know we'll have a day where everybody can pay, you know, a fee to dress more casually, and all the funds will go to the American Cancer Society. And then different organizations throughout the year. Right. For example, November is the Veterans Council of Indian River County. We want to honor our veterans in November, you know, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I think it's really important for our students to understand that, you know, we live in a community that gives to us, that yes. really supports our schools. So they need to learn how to give back. And Absolutely. So, you know, that's why we do this each month.
And speaking of that, I think the Real Men Wear Pink campaign, is that still going on, that the community can support you?
Absolutely, yes. I am a member of the Real Men Wear Pink campaign. So this is part of the American Cancer Society's Making Strides Against Breast Cancer campaign. So it started last month, and it'll culminate in some activities in October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so I have the pink lapel pin on today, but I've also been wearing pink ties and pink shirts, you know, throughout this period. And if anybody wants to donate to the American Cancer Society for this cause, just Google American Cancer Society Indian River County or Real Men Wear Pink Indian River County, and you'll end up with the webpage that has all kinds of information. There are 17 different men in our community that are wearing pink, so to speak, during this time to raise money. Chief Curry is one, Eric Flowers is one, Commissioner O'Brien is one. So there's a bunch of different leaders in the community that are participating.
So is there some competition amongst you all to see who raises the most money?
Well, to be honest, there's really no competition now. I'm way out in front. I got a really generous donation from one of our local residents that's put me way out in front. But all of us had a goal of $2,500, of $2,500 each. Yeah. And I'm well ahead of my goal, and I'm well out in front because I got a generous donation from a member of our community. But we're still raising funds, and you can give to one of the other 17 men and that kind of thing, but we're all raising money for the American Cancer Society.
And as I think I've mentioned, you know, breast cancer impacts women and men. My father, you know, had breast cancer, so I always like to give that plug that it really, you're not just giving to supporting women, but you're supporting men as well.
Right, I think that's a little known fact that men can have breast cancer as well, and one of the other 17 men who is in the campaign is a breast cancer survivor. Yeah. So yeah, it's something that I didn't know about until I became a part of the campaign.
Yeah. So thank you for leading that. So as we begin to wrap up, I just want to give a plug for our Read, Write, and Brew. I hope we'll see you on
Absolutely.
Thursday, October 30th. It's going to be a lot of fun at American Icon Brewery, and it's their first event at the brewery, so people can come out and enjoy the Great Lawn Party, which is $30. Includes live music by Minglewood. Scott Ferguson is one of our science fair judges, and he's part of that group, which plays wonderful music. And there'll be pretzels and calamari and a Chinese raffle. And then we have our VIP party, which is on the second level for $125. And that includes a lot of extras and a chance to have it's like a full access pass.
Right.
So,
well, I think it's a great thing that American Icon Brewery did this.
Yes.
You know, this is their kickoff event, their first big event, and they chose to honor the Education Foundation. I think that's really, really fantastic of them to say, this is how we're going to kind of make our name in the community, or at least kick off our presence in the community with this event to support for our local schools and that kind of thing. So I think it's really big thank you to them for picking the Education Foundation to be their first big event.
Well, and Michael Rector is the owner, and he has a great passion for education and has 2 young children and just a great commitment to our community and to our schools. So I certainly want to thank him as well. But usually when we're pitching an idea, I feel like you have to work hard on that sale.
Right.
And he bought in right away, and you could just sense his pride for American Icon Brewery, which and what a very special place it will be here in our community for many, many decades.
Well, that's fantastic, and I think the whole community needs to come out and support that.
Yes, thanks. So we've covered a lot of great things. We've talked about Hurricane Irma, the important role that the school district plays, the community's important role, hopefully recognizing all the great partners and people who've been a part of it. We are about to have our 20-day seat count, which will be an exciting thing as we roll forward. Lots of great news. Anything else as we wrap up that you want to mention or share with us?
I do want to give a shout out to Gold, Cooksey and Fennell, a local law firm. We're going to have an event later this week to celebrate and honor and thank all of the public school employees that were involved in the sheltering activity. So we're going to have a big barbecue for them.
Great.
14 Bones is catering it, but it's being sponsored by Gold, Cooksey and Fennell, and I just really want to thank them for that. I mean, we're not using taxpayer dollars to do this. Local agencies is donating for that, and so
they're
I thank
a wonderful
them.
partner, and they have the best water when they sponsor events.
They're always donating water and stuff like that, but they're also they sponsor us in some other events, the Teacher of the Year and some other stuff. So I thank them for generously supporting this celebration and this event to thank all the people who worked in the shelters.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that. Well, thank you again for your leadership. Thank you to everyone's hard work, and thanks for being on the show.
Cynthia, thank you for all the support you provide and the Education Foundation provides. You guys do a lot for our schools and for our students. We really appreciate it.
It's our pleasure and our honor. Thank you. Thanks for being with us. We hope you'll tune in again soon.